Welcome. Please select your level. New level available. Level 3. Carbon. Carbon comes in multiple forms including diamonds. Atomic mass. 12.0107 and designed by Nisco. Made for sleight of hand. Achievement unlocked. A new player has joined the game. Carbon playing cards, Graphite edition. Designed by Wadey. Made for masterful card flourishing.
What's up everybody, Kier Gomes here, and welcome back. So in the last 3 years, I've probably taken like 5 weekends off, and every single time I do, without fail, I always feel like it's been so long since I've uploaded a video. In reality, it hasn't been that long, but you know, I missed you guys. Now, the week that I took off was to work on a few very important and very exciting things that I'm super excited to share with you guys. However, we are not quite there yet, so I'm not gonna be telling you what I've been working on. Just know it's coming and it's gonna be sick. But today I decided to take a break from all of that because I have to talk to you guys about something very near and dear to my heart. As you can tell from the thumbnail, as you can tell from the intro, and as you can tell from the title of this video, today we are going to be talking about not just one, but 2 decks of cards, and that is the new Carbon Edition playing cards by Elemental. A lot of you guys already know this, but Elemental Playing Cards is Nisco, and that is not only a very good friend of mine, but also a very talented designer, and he just released his new deck on Kickstarter and officially kicked its ass. At the time that I'm recording this video, the Kickstarter has raised, I believe, $20,000 out of the $17,000 goal to get both of these decks funded and printed. So we're going to be talking about all of that and more today. Before we get started, please do drop a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's roll that intro and get you guys on your way.
Let's go.
Okay, so the way that we're going to review this deck, this is a prototype, so I'm not going to be going into the handling of the cards, but I will talk about what they're going to feel like once they're printed. But first, we're going to be reviewing the Diamond Edition. We're just going to go over the design, some information about it, and then we are going to look at the Graphite Edition, which was designed by my good friend Wadey. Oof, I am so excited. So let's just pop into it. Diamond Edition, here we go. So the tuck box looks like this. Now the prototype is a little bit more glossy than the actual box would be, but it will be printed on glossy card stock. It looks very similar to the other 2 Elemental decks that have come before this one, in that you can see the element represented on the front with a nice circle that has something to do with the color or pattern of the deck behind it. It also says Diamond Edition up above the Carbon C, and the Graphite one says Graphite Edition, so we'll get into that later. Both sides of the tuck box have the Elemental and Wadey logo, and the reason for that is because these 2 decks were meant to be a collaboration between Nick and Luke and the 2 brands. The bottom will have some ad copy, nothing that I'm going to bore you with. The top of the deck will say Carbon, and you can see the O in Carbon is a little diamond shape, so there's a little Easter egg for you. The back is the periodic table representation for Carbon, as we've seen before on the other Elemental decks, Oxygen and Hydrogen. And as always, you will get a nice quote on the inside of the tuck box from a reputable scientist, and this one says, "A diamond is a chunk of coal that did well under pressure." And that was said by Henry Kissinger. So that's pretty much everything I can say about the tuck box of this deck, and before we look at the cards, let's take a look at the Graphite Edition. The Graphite Edition looks very cool. It's meant to be kind of a contrast to the Diamond Edition, which is why one box is white, one box is black, and this one is Graphite. As you can see denoted above the C, it says Graphite Edition. You can also see that the ring, instead of being shattered diamonds, is kind of just a faded like graphite pencil sketch. And I really like the way that this looks, and I think it complements the other deck very well, which makes you want to buy these in a set, which if that wasn't the intention, let me tell you, it's definitely now. Sides of the tuck are about the same. You can see the Elemental and Luke Wadey logo represented on both sides. Same ad copy on the bottom. This one says Carbon on the top, and instead of a diamond for that O, it's a little kind of hexagon, which is very interesting, and we're going to talk about why that's so interesting when we get into the back design. The quote that you're going to get on the inside of this box is different from the Diamond Edition, and here's what it says. What really matters in a pencil is not the wooden exterior, but the graphite inside. So always pay attention to what is happening inside of you. Now, in general, I have to say I do love the way that these tuck boxes are looking, and once they're done from the USPCC, I know they're going to look even better, so I'm super excited to see it. All right, so that is everything I can say about the tuck boxes. So let's crack these open and take a look at the cards. I wish these were the real thing. I love these. All right, so the back design for the Diamond Edition looks like this. It looks very nice. As you can see, you get a nice medium-sized white border with a few smaller borders kind of inside of it, and then you can see in the middle this amazing diamond that just kind of takes up that giant chunk of the middle. The design of this deck, if you couldn't tell, was inspired by Tally-Ho Circlebacks, which is one of the greatest decks of cards design-wise, handling-wise, and otherwise, in my opinion. You can also see on the back design, it says Carbon in a diamond shape up above the actual diamond in the middle, and then around it says Diamond Edition 4 times. You'll also notice all these little kind of polygon shapes that make up that back design. Now, Nick did this with a trackpad on his computer, organizing all of those little shapes to make this design. So for people that are wondering what goes into making a deck of cards, it really is up to you, but if you really want it to look special, you have to put in the time, and this back design took Nick forever. I remember when he started it, and it was not anytime recently. As well, this deck is fully marked. That's value and suit, and I will talk a little bit about the marking system later in this video. The back design for the Carbon Edition deck looks like this. So as you can see, it is completely different, and the reason for that is because one deck, the Diamond Edition, was made to be geared more towards Magic and Magicians, sleight of hand. The Luke Wadey design was intended more for card flourishing and fancy displays. And the idea behind that is that the carbon element can be in the form of a diamond, it can be in the form of graphite, and those are two very different things. So naturally, Nick and Luke wanted their decks to be as contrasting as the two things that this element can come in. That sounded like so much, but basically they wanted the decks to look completely different. On Luke's edition, you can see there is that hexagon once again. It is right there in the middle, and you can see there's just a lot of what looks like smudged pencil on this back design, and it looks insane. I absolutely love it. It is also a technically full bleed design in that it does not have borders, and you can see it says Carbon and Graphite, Wadey and Elemental. It's got just a bunch of little gems hidden in that design. Now, I love Luke Wadey. You guys know I love his designs. I always have. In my opinion, this is probably one of the most clever and most eye-catching Luke Wadey designs that I have seen. So Luke, if you're watching this, you did a great job, man. Proud of you. Now, this deck was intended more for card flourishes and displays, thus it is not marked. There's no need for it, and that's totally okay. I love it. Love it. Okay, so these are what your Ace of Spades is. Ace of Spades is. This is what the aces are going to look like. So your Ace of Spades on the Diamond Edition is very clean, very concise. This looks very similar to the other two Ace of Spades on the Hydrogen and Oxygen editions. It's got the atomic mass of the carbon element. It's got all kinds of goodies in there. This cool molecule kind of inside of that spade pip. It's just beautiful. It looks so good, and I absolutely love it. Now, Luke Wadey's version is kind of the same thing, but as you can see, there's a lot of faded, kind of, again, that kind of like erased pencil or smudged pencil to kind of make up that design. You can also see some kind of scribbles in the corner and smudges. I think when you look at the back design and then you flip over the card, you're in for a treat because you get kind of all this themed pencil graphite mess on the back, and then it carries over into the faces of the cards, which if you're doing card flourishing, that is awesome. So, oh man, I love that Ace of Spades. I love it so much. Honestly, I was planning on talking about which one of these decks I prefer at the end of this video, and I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to do that. I think I like both about the same. Let's just keep looking at the decks and we'll see. Now, one thing that I really appreciate about the designs of this deck is, as always, you get hand-drawn jokers that were drawn by Nick with a pencil. So Nick draws his own jokers. He drew the jokers for the Slow Hands deck, he drew them for the Elemental decks, and you always get something that has something to do with the theme. This one is probably my favorite. So you actually get 3 jokers with this deck. You get one, and it's an open hand with a lump of coal or some graphite in it. It says graphite and joker in the corners. The next joker is a clenched fist that says pressure. And then the final joker is an open hand with a diamond in it, and it says diamond. So if you think about it, you take some graphite, you put some pressure, pressure makes diamonds, and that theme is consistent. I also love the idea of 3 jokers. I don't know why, but 3 jokers is just, I love that. It's kind of classy, so. Really, really sick design. Let's take a look at Luke's jokers. Luke's are the same thing again, however, you can see on the faces, again, with those kind of messy lines, but there is kind of an added twist to this. If you put all 3 jokers together, you actually can see that Luke Wadey's signature goes across all 3 cards. So if you have them together, you can use that as like a display. You could just put them in a frame next to each other. It's art, baby. It looks so good. That actually blew my mind. When Luke sent me the pictures of his jokers, I was in awe. I was absolutely shocked how genius they looked. So really, really, really nice. I want these decks to be real so bad. I want to use them so bad. Okay, let's keep going. The faces for the Diamond Edition are going to be relatively standard. Hearts and diamonds are going to be done in red, spades and clubs done in black. Fairly close to bicycle standard. I think the red is maybe a little bit darker. That might just be because it's a prototype. And the court cards for the Diamond Edition, because again, this is a deck made for Magic, you want to make sure you have some form of standard courts in there, and that's definitely the case here. You can see that the courts for the clubs and spades have just been made all monochromatic, black and white, looks super good. And again, you get these little additions, like the Queen of Spades here has a diamond on her staff. As well, there is a 9 of diamonds reveal. You can see that the uniforms have been customized to have that kind of reflective diamond shape. Specifically in the red cards, I think it looks amazing. So the hearts and diamonds look so good. Just the amount of attention to detail that must go into creating this, even like down to those little elemental logos right there, it just looks so good. One thing that I really appreciate about Nick is he has a very natural gift for branding. He knows how to make elemental be elemental and nothing else. So I really love that. Even on a standard court card, there's always room for your brand, and Nick finds the best place for it every single time. Love it. Love it so much. Okay, now the faces for the Graphite Edition are insane. They look so good, but I want to show them to you a little bit differently. I'm going to show them to you in a fan. Look at the faces of these cards. Now this is the prototype, and I have been using it a lot, so it's not the best for fanning, but at how good that looks. Ooh, classic Luke Wadey, where you fan the faces and you can't tell if it looks as good or even better in the back design. So the faces for the Graphite Edition are again just kind of a smudged version of the Diamond Edition, and this works for me in so many ways. I love the addition of things like carbon and graphite written on the card. I love the little scribbles from Wadey's signature. Absolutely love the smudging. I think that looks so good and so classy, especially on these red cards. It's just it's so clean. You can see that there's like a pencil 6 kind of in the middle of this one. So just little Easter eggs, little hexagons, kind of just going throughout this entire deck. To me, I think the faces are probably the most impressive thing about the design of the Graphite Edition. I love the back design, but I love the faces. Oh, so good. So since this is a prototype, we are not going to talk about the handling of these cards. However, they will be printed by the United States Playing Card Company on crushed premium stock. It's the best stock you can get. It feels great. It lasts a long time. So instead of talking about the handling of the cards, let's go ahead and talk about how the Diamond Edition is marked. Okay, so the marking system for these cards is actually pretty ingenious. It's technically like a reader back, but it's also not a reader back, so it's kind of a hybrid between the two, and I really like the marking system. So the story goes like this. Nick basically said he wanted to mark the deck, but he needed some expertise. Me as a magician, obviously, fairly familiar with how to mark decks or kind of how to read marking systems in general. So we got to work, and this is what we came up with. So I'm not going to explain the entire thing in this video. I might do a separate video, but if you look at the upper left corner and bottom right corner, you can read the markings on this deck. It's all about looking at the shapes of the polygons. There's going to be a line that's a little bit thicker than the rest, and that will denote what the value of the card is. And then in this next quadrant over here, there's going to be a thicker line, and that will denote what the suit is. So, for example, this card here is the Queen of Spades. I don't have my glasses on, but let me hold the deck a little bit closer. Let's see, this one is the 3 of Clubs. Boom. All right, let's do one more. This one is the 4 of diamonds. Done and done and done. You know what? Let's do a little challenge and impromptu giveaway. I should be getting my deck, the Slow Hands deck, in the mail anytime now, probably today. And I will sign one and send it to the first person who can tell me what this card is based on the marking system. I will put a sub-screen here with a real close-up of the quadrant of the card that you want to be looking at, and the first person to get it right will get a signed Slow Hands deck from me. By the way, for those of you asking about the giveaways, I live in Arizona and COVID-19 is running rampant here. We're actually seeing it as record highs. It's definitely not safe to get out to the post office, so if you could bear with me until this lockdown is over, I promise I will get everyone's card shipped out right away. Okay, so back to it. Yeah, so the marking system is very, very clever. Like I said, it's marked in 2 places. It's one of those things where you're not gonna see it if you don't know what to look for, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I think that always makes for the best marking systems, in my opinion. As well, the first thing that Nick told me after the design was done and I received my prototype, he said to give it the riffle test to see if I could tell if it was marked. So for those of you that don't know, usually if you want to see if a deck is marked, you just riffle like that, and you'll see the design change ever so slightly, and that'll give you an indication of where to look to read the marking. This deck did indeed pass the marking test, so check this out. Woo! Well guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode and my look at the new Carbon playing cards by Elemental Playing Cards and Luke Wadey, the Diamond Edition and Graphite Edition, which are both readily available for you on Kickstarter right now, and I have linked that below. As I said, this campaign did have a $17,000 funding goal, which is set pretty high for a normal Kickstarter campaign, but in order to get 2 decks printed, you gotta set the bar a little bit high. And I'm proud to say that my best buds, Luke Wadey and Nick Nisco, were able to raise $20,000 in just over 24 hours. That is insane, but you know what? It is well deserved. So Nick and Luke, if you guys are watching this, I love you guys, I'm proud of you, and I cannot wait to get my decks. For the rest of you, if you love what you saw in this review and you're interested in picking up these cards, head to the link in my description and check them out. As well, stay tuned for more updates. I got a lot of stuff going on, guys. I wish I could tell you all about it, but today is not the day. But if you want to do something for me, why don't you go ahead and drop a like on this video and consider subscribing for more awesome videos just like this one. With all that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. I know I will. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.